504 Yada Yahowah, Azab, separation. 10. Deber, plague of words. Is there a doctor in the house? Self-assured and overtly religious, relatively affluent and self-reliant, universally ignorant and incapable of exercising good judgment, immoral and estranged from God, the northern kingdom was ill-prepared for the coming Assyrian assault. It didn't even matter that Yahowah had warned them. God is intent on calling his people home from mental obscurity, religious rebellion, and political chaos. For that to occur, they will have to listen. And currently, such a large gap separates Yahowah and Israel, and such little time remains, we must remain focused for there to be a favorable outcome. Choose to return, Ashuwr, of your own volition, turn around and come back, change direction because I would like to restore you, Kal imperative paragogic cohortative, it is God's will for his people to genuinely want to return so that the relationship can be restored, Israel, individuals who are contentious with God, eternally to Yahowah, doing so based upon the restoring testimony, Ad Yahowah, the enduring witness of Yahowah as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Yasha'yah, existence and our shalom, restoration, of your God, Elohim Otter. This is necessary because, you have faltered and stumbled, Kashal, you have lost control and have fallen, wavering because you have been misled, by your religious 505 corruptions and political perversions, Bar A1, Otter, by your tendency to twist and pervert the truth, distorting the message while wrongly bowing down. Howsha 14:1. Choose to genuinely grasp hold and accept for your benefit, lakak imatum, select and receive, obtain and experience for yourselves, Kal imperative, the words comprising this message, Deber, this statement, matter, and account, so that you can choose to return and be restored, Ashuwr, and then you, of your own free will, can change and come back, Kal imperative, 2, Yahowah, as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence. Ask of him, Amar el-Hu, choose to convey to him, Kal imperative, lift off and carry away, Nasa, accept, take away, and bear, Kal imperfect jussive, every religious corruption and political perversion, Shurl A1, Aun, every tendency to twist and pervert the truth. Then you should choose to accept, while lakak, of your own free will select, obtain, and grasp hold of, Kal imperative, what is good, productive, and beneficial, Tob, what is pleasing and advantageous. As a result, we can be fully fulfilled and restored, completely reconciled, Shalem, we can experience total restitution, Peel imperfect cohortative, for our bullish speech, Par Safaranakhu, for the BS that has been on our lips. Howsha, he saves, Hosea 14:2. Yisrael, please listen. Yahweh, return to Yahowah. Capitalize upon the eternal testimony and restoring witness of your God. We have all stumbled along the way, so the question is whether you are going to stay down or stand up. Are you going to let go of the Talmud and Zohar and grasp hold of the Torah? Are you willing to forego the corrupting and 506 perverting nature of religion and politics to enjoy the benefits of the covenant? The words that comprise this message are for your benefit. They explain what needs to change while revealing the means to restoration and reconciliation with Yahowah. The Messiah paid the price to lift off and carry away, to accept and bear, every trace of religion we are willing to leave behind. In another time, nearly 40 Yawbel ago, he allowed his Nipesh, soul to be burdened with our guilt so that he could carry it off and leave it within the black hole of Sheol, hell. In this way, we are perfected. It is the blessing of Matzah that makes Kippurim possible. It is time, Yisrael, for you to embrace what is beneficial and productive, advantageous and pleasing. Your life can be fulfilling. Your relationship with Yahowah can be restored. God, himself, will provide recompense for every stupid thing you and your forefathers have said and done. These statements were immersed in free will. They were expressed in the first-person cohortative, second-person imperative, and third-person jussive. While Yahowah wants to restore us, we must opt to change and choose to return. Howsha begins this section of his prophetic revelation by speaking on behalf of Yahowah directly to Israel. And then after encouraging his audience to address Yahowah and choose to accept what is beneficial, he joins the chorus, saying we can be fulfilled and restored. It is Howsha's greatest yearning, he wants his people to experience God as he has over the years. This is also the prophet's way of affirming that we all come to Yahowah along the same path, as it was for him, so it is for us. There are few words in God's word as meaningful as Shalem. Based upon Shalom, it speaks of the 507 reconciliation and restoration of our relationship with Yahowah. Nothing is more important. To be Shalem is to be fulfilled and satisfied in God's company. With regard to our reconciliation and restoration, Shalem provides the means to recompense and restitution. Everything we have ever said or done that could be held against us is adjudicated favorably, freeing us of all liability. Howsha continues his prophetic revelation on divorce and reconciliation, on estrangement and reunification, with these words. Ashuwr, the Lord of the Sun, Ashuwr, the empire of Assyria was named after the great Lord of the Sun, Asher, who shared his name with the goddess, Asherah, who was perceived to be Har-Baal's, the Lord's consort and the goddess whose myths became the basis of Christianity's Easter holiday and veneration of Mary. From Asher, blessings and benefits, cannot save us, lo Yasha'yah, cannot protect or emancipate us. We will not be mounting and riding upon stallions, swiftly flying birds or in troop transports, lo Rakab al-Suz. Therefore, we should no longer say, lo Amar Od, our God, Elohim Anaknu, to the work of our hands, Marsei Yodanaknu, to that which we have fabricated with our hands. As a benefit of the relationship, Asher with you, Bar Otter, the fatherless child, Yatham, the orphan and estranged individual, experiences love, compassion, and mercy, Racham, finds kindness, affection, and a familial relationship. Howsha 14-3. I will heal, Rapha, I will provide restoration because I will be like a physician who repairs, cures, and mends, their religious rebellion, renunciations, and 508 abandonment, Mashubahem, their turning away and backsliding, their apostasy and defection. I will love them, Ahabhem, I will engage in a close, personal, devoted, and affectionate relationship with them, doing so willingly, freely, and without restraint, Nadabar, sacrificially and abundantly as well as on my own initiative, readily and voluntarily. Indeed, KY, assuredly, my disappointment and resentment, any, my frustration and righteous indignation, will be turned away from them and changed, Shubminhem, will be directed elsewhere. Howsha, he protects, Hosea 14:4. Yisrael, like so many of us, has often looked for love in all the wrong places. She was courting Assyria, just as America, with thousands of nukes, is negotiating with Iran not to build a single bomb, when, as an Islamic nation, they have no intent on honoring any agreement made with non-Muslims. The US is somehow ignorant of the fact that the Iranians have consistently lied about the purpose of their nuclear program and their intent to use the resulting weapon against Israel. After all, they have impoverished their people for decades in their pursuit of the bomb because they believe that, by annihilating Jews, they will be serving Allah. In the past, Israel had turned to Baal and Asherah, for whom Ashuwr, Assyria had been named. They even sought the company of religious prostitutes. Today, Israelites love their Talmud. Catholics venerate Mary as the Queen of Heaven and Mother of God. And Christians the world over worship their dead God on a stick. Humankind is stuck in a rut. At the time this was written, Ashuwr, Assyria was the poster child for gowyish behavior, the very thing Yahowah had begged his people to avoid. Their culture, religion, government, military, and caste system were well 509 developed and intertwined. And as a result, they were the meanest, most vicious, and unethical gang on the planet. Stupidly, Israel was trying to accommodate and appease this merciless empire. It was so progressive of them and, therefore, ignorant and counterproductive. I'm not picking on Jews, per se, because it is no different than the Obama and Biden administrations negotiating with the Iranian Muslims. They are not only in the same place, but they are also similarly gowyish. Their religious government and terrorist aspirations are also focused upon the same victim, Israel. To engage in a relationship with Yahowah, we must come to the realization that by relying upon governments we estrange ourselves from God, and they will all disappoint us, as will every religion. Jesus is not going to provide a stallion leaping up to heaven. Allah does not have a magic carpet, and a nation's troop transports take the patriotic to the place where they are hunted and killed. So, let's abandon our faith in these useless contrivances. And yes, Howsha was trying to be punny when he spoke of the Assyrians providing transportation. In actuality, the captured slaves would march naked as they were chained through their noses. We should never refer to anyone other than Yahowah as God. We must reject what men, creating gods in their own image, have written with their hands. The only testimony worthy of our soul comes from Yahowah's prophets. Yahweh and Gowam alike come to Yahowah as orphans looking to be included in God's home. Once upon a time, long, long ago, Abraham's descendants were naturally born into the covenant, but now, as a result of all we have witnessed throughout Howsha, even Israel must be adopted. Fortunately, our Heavenly Father stands 510 ready to love His children and shower us with kindness and affection. This is the story of the Mikrei. The beneficiaries of Pesach and Matzah are adopted on Bikurim, firstborn children. And it is during unyeasted bread that the corruptive nature of religion is removed from our souls by Dr. Yeh. By making us lovable, He can love us again and we can all live happily ever after. What was once broken is together again. We are family. That is not to say, however, that we will all be singing Kumbaya together as a world united in its love of Yah. No, Yahweh's righteous indignation will simply be redirected, away from Israel and toward those who would do her harm, such as the Neo-Assyrians known as Iranians. Christians, Muslims, and progressives would be wise to duck for cover as well, not that they will fare any better trying to hide from the Almighty. Moving on, Yahowah turns poetic with the deployment of yet another series of horticultural metaphors. These symbols are timeless, resonating with his intended audience throughout the generations. I will be like Hayakah, I will become comparable to Kal imperfect, the dew, Partal, a covering to Yisrael, La Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God. He will sprout and bloom, thriving, Parash, Yisrael, will blossom and flourish, like the joyous lily, Kahar Shushan, similar to an exuberant lotus flower, and he will secure his roots, Wanaka Shorshu, like the Lebanese cedar, Lebanon. Howsha 14-5. His newly formed branches, Yanakithu, his shoots, sprouts and suckers, will spread out, Holok, will travel about. Then, his majesty, authority, strength, 511 and countenance, Howhu, his splendor and glory, his vigor and presence, will be like Hayakah, the olive tree, Harzith, and his fragrance, Yollahu, his uniquely identifiable aroma, will be like the Lebanese cedar, Kahar Lebanon, will be similar to the wooded mountain range filled with conifers and cedars on Israel's northern border, from Laban, to purify by whitening. Howsha, he protects, Hosea 14:6. Dew is symbolic of closeness, nourishment, and anointing. It depicts Yahowah covering us with his set-apart spirit and immersing us in her light. Having returned to Yahowah, and now immersed in the Ruach, Israel will flourish and thrive, sprouting up as effortlessly and beautifully as a lily. Shushan, from Shush, reveals that life will be joyous again, which is suggestive of returning to the Gan Eden, garden of great joy. There are then two references to what is arguably the most impressive evergreen on earth, the Lebanese cedar. With her glorious forests now mostly gone, and the last of her trees fenced off and struggling to survive, my exposure to them is through their magnificent cousin, the Monterey cypress. A tour of the California coast along the 17-mile drive north of Carmel is a feast for the eyes. These ancient trees are uniquely shaped by the wind, ruach in Hebrew, with each displaying its own special character. While not as tall as the sequoia, they are much broader, with massive branches spreading out to form a canopy. They are rugged and yet elegant, individualistic and yet harmonize collectively, luxuriant and still open and airy, sufficiently sturdy to take whatever is brought against them while still touting the scars of battles waged long ago which give them their unique personalities. They are so individualistic that many have been given names, with the most famous being the lone cypress. 512 The difference between cypress and cedar is the aromatic nature of the wood, with the cedar's fragrance coveted by those who have worked with it. The wood is so hard and enduring, so impervious to rot, it was Yahowah's choice for his home, as it was for Daud's. Consistent with the metaphor God is deploying, cedars are deeply rooted. They can survive every force of nature, but not the caustic influence of man. It is why Lebanon has been robbed of her treasure. There is also an ode to the olive tree within Yahowah's analogy. Symbolic of the spirit, olive trees are long-lived and equipped to survive. And they produce an exceedingly valuable fruit, whose oil heals, anoints, nourishes, and illuminates. Similar to the cedar, olive trees have character, as they are uniquely and individually shaped by their environment. This reveals that we will carry our unique personalities and perhaps even proclivities into God's family. This will serve to make our extended time together more interesting. Also telling, the Banaun is from Laban, meaning to be purified by being whitened. The children of God are perfected during Shag Matzah, with the set-apart spirit removing the stench of religion. As such, we will now emit one of life's sweetest aromas, that of fresh cedar. I was unaware of the role smell plays in relationships until my Jewish wife began breathing in my scent during each embrace. For her, it is alluring, inviting, and loving. So, for God, after 3 millennia of Israelites stinking up the place, he will finally find them appealing. And speaking of being made acceptable, the next statement, which is in Howsha's voice, is reminiscent of the magnificent 91st Mizmowr, Psalm. They will return and be restored, Shub, they will change, come back, and be renewed, Kal imperfect, 513 dwelling and abiding, Yasha'yah, living and remaining, Kal participle, within his shadow, Bart Selhu, with his protection. They will live, Yasha'yah, they will prosper and succeed, be nurtured, raised, and preserved, Peel imperfect, as grain which increases and grows, dagan, as barley which has been harvested, from dagger, to grow exponentially, increasing in multiple ways. And they will flourish and thrive, blossoming, perish, they will sprout and grow, kal imperfect, similar to the vine, kar harjivan, akin to the tendril of a grape. Their remembrance and renown, zika hue, their fame, reputation, and memory, will be like the wine, kar yain of purification, labanan of whitening. Howsha, he liberates, Hosea 14:7. Living like dagan, grain is a marvelous metaphor because the smallest barley seed, when properly cultivated, produces a 30 times yield, with 2 bushels of seed providing 60 bushels when harvested. Back in the day, as it is now, barley was baked into bread and used as malt for beer, the beverage that made living together in close proximity possible. Without the effect of the yeast feeding upon the barley and producing alcohol as beer is being fermented, water near human habitations is so filled with pathogens that it is poisonous. In effect, the barley wort and yeast neutralize the toxic effects of human excrement, which Yah has associated with religion. Moreover, bread and water have long been symbolic of sustaining life, which is why it is in this metaphor. While dagan is rendered as corn in many Bible translations, doing so reveals the ignorance of translators. Corn was developed in the New World, and it was primarily used by the Incas and Aztecs for religious purposes. Further, corn was not exported to Europe and 514 then the Middle East until 2,300 years after this prophecy was written. Dispensing with the myth regarding corn, wheat and barley were cultivated throughout Israel and the surrounding region at this time, with 6-row barley being the dominant crop. The head is arranged similarly to the menorah, with 6 rows of seeds around the center rachis, or stem. 6. The number of man created on the 6th day, row barley produces 3 times more kernels, and substantially more seeds per kernel than 2-row, which is more popular in Europe. The seeds are smaller, and vary more in size, but are richer in protein in the 6-row variety. Barley germinates very early in the year and matures rapidly, requiring just 90 days from planting to harvest. It provides greater health benefits than other grains because it requires less processing and is rich in antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins. This is one of the reasons barley is associated with chag matzah. With its early maturity, we find the seeds present in the heads and still growing during the first renewing moon of Yahweh's new year, typically coinciding with the spring equinox. At this stage of their maturity, the kernels are still growing and receptive, symbolic of saved souls. This prophetic pronouncement from Howsha directs our attention to Yom Kippurim, the day of reconciliations in year 6000 year. On this day, the children of Israel will begin their forever with Yah. They will dagan, grow exponentially, expanding in dimensions and capabilities. Wine serves as a metaphor for Passover, where the blood of the Pesach El is presented upon the doorway to life. And with Passover as part of the Feast of Unyeasted Bread, it becomes the wine of purification. From this point forward, the covenant's children will flourish and thrive, blossoming into vastly improved versions of themselves. Furthermore, upon his return, 515 Daud will be sprinkling blood, symbolized by wine, on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, facilitating Israel's reconciliation. The reason that I skipped past the opening statement in Howsha 14:7 in my commentary, is that there is a great deal to share regarding they will change, return, and be restored, coming back to be renewed, shuv, and dwell, demonstrably and continually abiding, living, and remaining Yasha'yah, within his shadow and protection, Vat-selhu. This prophecy, at the conclusion of the first book I attempted to translate, is reminiscent of the Mizmowr, psalm which initiated my relationship with God a score of years ago. After telling Yahweh that I would need some assurances from him if he wanted me to expose and condemn Islam as I have done in Tea with Terrorists and Prophet of Doom, he asked me to reach into my pocket where I found a copy of the 91st Psalm. The psalm had been ripped out of a book that showed up at my doorstep unsolicited earlier that day. I had tried to read it, the first in the Left Behind series, but it was so poorly researched and written that I found it laughable, with the exception of the citation from the Mizmowr. So, I tore it out of the book, placed the page in my pocket, and tossed the book away. Today, I stand before you as irrefutable proof that Yahweh performs as his Mizmowr attests. After having written a book 100 times more condemning of Islam than Salman Rushdie's satanic verses and having conducted some 5,000 interviews on the demented nature of Muhammad's terrorist manifesto, I remain standing, even as the recipient of countless death threats. Therefore, since I know that Yahweh honored his promise to me, I can assure you that he will do the same for anyone willing to engage with him in this way. 516 A Mizmowr of Daud, Mizmowr Daud, lyrics by the Beloved. He who dwells, Yasha'yah, he who inhabits and lives restored, he who stays and remains, within the sheltered covering, Bar-sether, in the protected place, of the Almighty, Eliyaun, within the shadow, Vart-sel, in the likeness and resemblance, of the Sufficient One, Shodeh, of the One who is capable, expansive, and influential, with the ability to cultivate, nourish, and fortify life, he will continually abide, dwelling for an extended period of time, remaining throughout the darkest hours, Luin. He will endure preceding the arrival of the light. Mizmowr 91-1. He says, Amar, to approach, La, Yahowah, Yahowah, my trusted place of refuge, Makasa, my reliable shelter, trustworthy safe harbor from storms, and sanctuary from danger, and my stronghold, Wa Masjuda, my impenetrable fortress and securely constructed home, my God, Elohei, is the steadfast and constant one, Netzek, is the permanent and perpetual one, the truthful one who can be confidently depended upon. In him, Bar-Hu, I consistently trust and rely, Betach, continuously expecting favorable results. Mizmowr 91-2. Surely, he, Hu, will defend and deliver you, Natsal, he will spare and save you, draw you out and take you away, from, Min, contrived plots and being under the influence, Pok, the schemes designed to confine and control perpetrated by reckless and unstable government leaders and jealous religious terrorists, of those who bait their traps, luring in their prey, Yakush, from, Min, the epidemic and deadly plague of written and spoken declarations, Deber, the pestilence of pronouncements, comprised of destructive and malicious threats, Hor. Mizmowr 91-3. With, Ba, his wings and spiritual implements, Ebra, he will cover you, shielding you from attack, 517 and clothe you in a way which promotes your growth, Sakekla, he will provide a suitable defense from attackers, a barricade that makes you inaccessible from projectiles or stab wounds, and under, Wataketh, the extremity of his garments, Kanaf, the hem of his apparel and the wings of his messengers, so that you can reflect and relax, ultimately celebrating the Shabat. His reliable nature and restoring testimony, Emual, are a large shield to keep you cool and collected under fire. Sina, is a substantial and effective covering designed to keep you comfortable in confrontational situations, and his steadfast, consistent, and assured reliability, Wa Emith, his enduring honesty and integrity, is a valuable defense, Sakura. Pause now and reflect on this, Selah. Mizmowr 91-4. You should never be afraid, nor should you respect, Lo Yer, you should not be intimidated by, any aspect of, Min, terrorism or dread this darkness, Pochod Layla, nor, Min, a projectile shot, Shays, flying, Yuf, by day, Yaum, Mizmowr 91-5, nor even the contagious plague, Kiteb, the infectious pestilence and fatal pandemic, ravaging, robbing, and ransacking, Shadad, at midday, Zaharaim, nor the pestilence, the epidemic of sickening words prompted by the goad, Deber, the deadly diatribe which prods and stings, the malignant and maligning statements which are a verbal assault, that travels about, Holok without light, Bar Opal. Mizmowr 91-6. 1,000, Wa Elif, may fall, prostrating themselves, and even die, being cast down, Nafal, but away from your proximity, Minzad, and, Wa, many thousands more, Elif Wa Rababa, as a result of, Min, your right hand and thus what you write, Yamin, but this will not prevail against you, Lo Takar, it will not strike you or blow you away. Mizmowr 91-7. 518 You will observe and study, Nabat Rak, you will look at and evaluate, you will gaze upon and consider, you will think about the proper response, with your eyes, Bar-Ein, being shown and actually perceiving, Ra, the consequence and the suffering, Shailuma, the retribution and retaliation, of the religious who are wrong, Rasha, of those who are unscrupulously evil and immoral. Mizmowr 91-8. Because you, Yahowah, have invoked certainty by making available, Karasim, you have cited the following action to convince the listener, the sheltered and protected place, Sether, the protective covering, of the Almighty, Iliaun, as your home to live together, Maun. Mizmowr 91-9. You will experience, Ra, no harm or distress, Lo Ra, no trouble, anxiety, suffering, misfortune, or hardship. And, Wa, no assault, strike, blow, wound, or trauma, Lo Nega, no physical impact, not even the slightest touch, no bothersome infection or disease, no deadly pestilence or plague, no affliction of any kind, shall befall you, Anna, shall occur or even be attempted around you, or actually come near, Lo Karab, appearing in proximity to, your home or household, Ohol. Mizmowr 91-10. This is because, he will instruct and direct, Zawa, he will order and appoint, even assign, his spiritual envoys and agents, Malak, his heavenly messengers and representatives, concerning you such that they approach and remain near, La, to actually keep watch over you and genuinely guard you, Shema, to focus on you to keep you safe, in all your ways and travels, Bar Shel Derek, with the entirety of your conduct, journeys, and destinations. Mizmowr 91-11. Upon the open palms of their hands, Al-Kaf, I want them to continually lift you up, Nasa, preventing 519 Penyu from stumbling by being tripped up, Nagat bar, in your stance, even your journey of exploration, Regal, your footsteps, against that which has been established, Ha Eben, against the stone, against that which is built and constructed, and seemingly impenetrable. Mizmowr 91:12. Therefore, Wah, you will set out to take aim against, Darak, you will go out to originate a straightforward and linear case against, the toxic individual who twists and perverts, Pethan, the shrewd and crooked serpent in hostile opposition, playing to the naivete of his audience, and the serpent of the sea, Watanim, the monstrous beast of the Gentile religious and political establishments, to aggressively stomp upon, Ramas, to damage and impair the destructive attempts, the ultimate cover-up, the whitewashing and appeasement, the lucrative schemes, Kaffa, of the shrewd and corrupting opposition, Wapethan, of those who twist and pervert. Mizmowr 91:13. To me, bar any, he is lovingly attached because we enjoy the same things, Shashak, we are connected through mutual goals. And so, Wah, I will keep him safe and ensure he survives, Palet, I will protect him, delivering him from harm's way, preventing unfavorable circumstances from troubling him. I will empower him with the capability to successfully accomplish the mission while at the same time protecting him, by making him inaccessible, Sagab, I will strengthen and enable him, even defend him, and he will do what needs to be done, because, KY, he will come to actually know and accurately reveal, Yada, my name, Shem. Mizmowr 91:14. He calls out to me, Kara, he invites me into his life, he summons me and welcomes me, he reads and recites what I have to say, so, therefore, Wah, I respond to him 520 and answer him, Anna, I speak to him, vocally communicating as I answer his questions and provide information and insights. Moreover, I will be with him, him any, I will accompany him, against the vexing adversary, Barzara, against the aggravating and annoying antagonist. I will equip him and prepare him, Shalats, because, Wah, I value him and will honor him as being especially important, promoting him, Kabed, I will abundantly enrich him. Mizmowr 91:15. I will provide for him, fully satisfying and completely fulfilling his needs, Saba, with a long length of days, Orik Yamim. And, Wah, he will find delight in and be shown, Ra, deliverance and salvation, freedom and liberty, Bar Yasha'yah. Mizmowr, lyrics, Psalm 91:16. It is the most inspiring mission in the universe. And it comes highly recommended, with life assurance, considerable perks, and a great retirement package. Since there is so little time left between now and Yah's return, when we will be put out to pasture, please consider grabbing your staff and sandals now before the flock comes home. The comparison between myself and Salman Rushdie, between Prophet of Doom and Satanic verses, between being protected by Yahowah and being an atheist on one's own recognizance, is so extreme it underscores the point Yahowah has been making throughout his Torah, in Howsha, and specific to the Mizmowr. As a jolt to the system, I was reminded of the special place Yahowah prepared for his witness when, as I was in the midst of presenting Psalm 91 for your consideration, Salman Rushdie was viciously attacked and nearly killed in New York by a knife-wielding Muslim. 521 Satanic Verses is a novel, one which wasn't even written about Islam. By comparison, Prophet of Doom was and remains the best documented, most comprehensive, chronological, and contextual presentation of the Quran ever written. It relies exclusively upon the earliest hadith to set Allah's rant into the context of Muhammad's putrid life. It is damning and irrefutable evidence that the Quran is the worst book ever written, that Islam is a terrorist manifesto, that Allah is not God, and that Muhammad was among the most horrid people to have ever lived, a sexual pervert, rapist and pedophile, a mass-murdering and sadistic terrorist, a conman and thief, as well as a deranged, demon-possessed megalomaniac. An entire chapter of Prophet of Doom is devoted to presenting evidence which proves that Muhammad did, indeed, speak for Satan. Over 2 decades, Rushdie suffered 20 assassination attempts while under the protection of MI6, Interpol, the CIA, and FBI, as well as private guards. He changed his name multiple times and moved 56 times on 3 continents to elude his would-be killers. He lived in the shadows, always in hiding, unable to communicate his whereabouts with his family. By comparison, I never hid and never ducked. I never sought the protection of any agency. Rather than changing my name, I plastered it prominently on Prophet of Doom, Islam's terrorist dogma in Muhammad's own words. Then I participated in over 5,000 interviews using my name, many in studio. I even conducted a national tour, debated imams, and addressed large audiences in person. Similar to Rushdie, I was also subject to a fatwa, mine coming from the lead Islamic cleric in Saudi Arabia. And yet, my home addresses were always in the public domain, as was the website I created to share Prophet of Doom with the world. Unlike Salman Rushdie, whom I respect for his courage, albeit not for his liberal politics. I have been under Yahweh's protection. The difference is extraordinary: life 522 and death, confidence and fear, freedom versus oppression. My story is Yahweh's story. I am as Israel should have been. Rushdie is the better version of who they became. If you are looking for proof that Yahweh honors his promises and that his prophets can be trusted, indeed, that Daud and Howsha spoke for God, consider what he asked me to do and promised in return. This marvelous prophetic book concludes with Yahweh warning his wayward sons once again. Ephraim, ashes, Ephraim, why should I continually endure, Ma Laeniod, these religious objects and deified images, La Azab, these objects of veneration and worship? I am the one who responded, Eni Anna, I replied by providing the answers with my testimony, and I am the one who has looked after you, caring about you, Washarotahu, I have held you in high regard. I am like an evergreen cypress, Eni Karbaush, spreading out so profusely, Ronan, large, notable, verdant, and luxuriant. From me, Min Eni, your ability to be productive, Periota, your results, is achieved, Matzah, are obtained. Howsha 14-8. Whoever, is wise, ethical, and judgmental, Charkham, is learned, has the ability to comprehend, is discerning and is capable of understanding, intelligent and has accumulated knowledge, let him make the appropriate connections to understand and then teach, Bin, let him closely examine and deduce the relationships 523 to perceive, carefully considering these associations to comprehend, these things, Li. Whoever has the skill to be perceptive and discerning and can turn knowledge into understanding, Bin, whoever can deduce the insights needed to comprehend and teach by being observant, thoughtful, and discriminating, let him know and acknowledge this, Yada, let him familiarize himself with this, becoming aware, and make this known. Indeed, KY, the ways, Derek of Yahowah, our Eloah, God has directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his existence and our Shalom, restoration, are straightforward and upright, correct and on the level, Yasha'yah, valid and true, pleasing and fitting. And those who are right, upright, and judgmental, Zadik, those who are justified and vindicated, innocent and acquitted, will walk, Holok, will journey through life, in them, Bahem. But, however, the revolting and rebellious, Pasha, the openly defiant, are tripped up and stumble, Kashal, falter and are staggered, in them, Bahem. Howsha, he liberates, Hosea 14:9. It is one thing for the Goyim to be religious and pursue idols, but another altogether for this to occur with a Yisraelite. Yahweh has invested in his people, but seldom others. He has responded to Israel while ignoring the rest of the world. Yahweh would like his people to see him as a giant cypress, limbs spread wide to protect them. In this, I concur with God. It is the grandest of trees. Humankind is capable of being productive on its own, but not all of what we produce is beneficial. So, God is 524 suggesting that if we want to accomplish something worthwhile, it is best to have his support. I may be odd in this regard, and if so, I share my perceptions with God. I cherish understanding and value intelligence. Yada, knowing is good, but Bin, understanding is more valuable still. Yahweh is encouraging whoever is Charkham, rational, ethical, and judgmental to Bin, make the appropriate connections between the things we have perceived to be relevant to understand and then teach. It may sound like a tall order, one directed to the wisest among us, but not so. By sharing his prophetic testimony, by offering the means to affirm its validity, and then providing us with a neshama, conscience to be discerning and judgmental, we are all capable of answering his call. And to make it easier, he has inspired teachers, like Moses, Shamuel, and Daud, along the way. Charkham, Bin, and Yada are the tools we have used most prolifically throughout our quest to find Yahweh and reveal what he is offering and expecting in return. We have deployed them to accurately and completely translate God's testimony into the lingua franca of today's world so that it is available to thoughtful seekers around the globe, especially Jews. Yada, Bin, and Charkham have served to provide the ensuing explanations and commentary. The resulting insights and teaching are the result of exercising them as we study Yahweh's testimony. This is not to exclude Yahweh's influence, especially through his ruach, but only to say that Charkham, Bin, and Yada are participatory endeavors, as is everything associated with the covenant. Those who engage, receive. As the fruit of our neshama, conscience, Yahweh has made us capable of Charkham, Bin, and Yada, all for the express purpose of thoughtfully considering his 525 proclamations, so that we come to understand his message and then share it correctly. This most certainly includes knowing and acknowledging his name. And that is why these three words were presented as Charkham, Bin, and Yada, in that order. Typically, we would expect Yada, knowing to proceed Shacham, exercising good judgment which leads to bin, understanding. But in this case, Yahowah is asking Shacham, thoughtful individuals, the most discerning and judgmental among us, to bin, analyze what he has communicated, bringing it all together such that the correct picture emerges, and then Yada, make others aware of what we have come to know, acknowledging Yahowah's name and message accurately. In this light, let's see how much of Howsha's 14th chapter we have correctly assessed and conveyed. Choose to return, Shub, of your own volition turn around and come back, change direction because I would like to restore you, Yisrael, individuals who are contentious with God, eternally to Yahowah, doing so based upon the restoring testimony, Ad Yahowah, of your God, Elohim Otter. This is necessary because, KY, you have faltered and stumbled, Kashal, you have lost control and have fallen, wavering because you have been misled, by your religious corruptions and political perversions, Bar A1, Anotter, by your tendency to twist and pervert the truth, distorting the message while wrongly bowing down. Howsha 14-1. Choose to genuinely grasp hold and accept for your benefit, Lakak imatum, select and receive, obtain and experience for yourselves, the words comprising this message, Deber, this statement, matter, and account, so that you can choose to return and be restored, Washub 526, and then you, of your own free will, can change and come back, to, Yahowah. Ask of him, Amar El Hu, choose to convey to him, Kal imperative, lift off and carry away, Nasa, accept, take away, and bear, every religious corruption and political perversion, Shurl A1, Aun, every tendency to twist and pervert the truth. Then you should choose to accept, Walakak, of your own free will select, obtain, and grasp hold of, Kal imperative, what is good, productive, and beneficial, Tob, what is pleasing and advantageous. As a result, we can be fulfilled and restored, completely reconciled, Wa Shalem, we can experience total restitution, P imperfect cohortative, for our bullish speech, Pa Safar Enaknu, for the BS that has been on our lips. Howsha 14-2. Ashuwr, the Lord of the Sun, Ashuwr, the empire of Assyria was named after the great Lord of the Sun, Asher, who shared his name with the goddess, Asherah, who was perceived to be Har-Baals, the Lord's consort and the goddess whose myths became the basis of Christianity's Easter holiday and veneration of Mary. From Asher, blessings and benefits, cannot save us, Lo Yasha'yah, cannot protect or emancipate us. We will not be mounting and riding upon stallions, swiftly flying birds or in troop transports, Lo Rakab al-Suz. Therefore, we should no longer say, Lo Amar Od, our God, Elohim Anaknu, to the work of our hands, Marsei Yod Anaknu, to that which we have fabricated with our hands. As a benefit of the relationship, Asher with you, Bar Otter, the fatherless child, Yatham, the orphan and estranged individual, experiences love, compassion, and 527 mercy, Racham, finds kindness, affection, and a familial relationship. Howsha 14-3. I will heal, Rapha, I will provide restoration because I will be like a physician who repairs, cures, and mends, their religious rebellion, renunciations, and abandonment, Mashubahem, their turning away and backsliding, their apostasy and defection. I will love them, Ahabhem, I will engage in a close, personal, devoted, and affectionate relationship with them, doing so willingly, freely, and without restraint, Nadabar, sacrificially and abundantly as well as on my own initiative, readily and voluntarily. Indeed, KY, assuredly, my disappointment and resentment, Afeni, my frustration and righteous indignation, will be turned away from them and changed, Shubminhem, will be directed elsewhere. Howsha 14-4. I will be like, Hayakar, I will become comparable to, the dew, Hartal, a covering, to Yisrael, La Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God. He will sprout and bloom, thriving, Parash, he will blossom and flourish, like the joyous lily, Kahar Shushan, similar to an exuberant lotus flower. And he will secure his roots, Wanaka Shorshu, like the Lebanese cedar, Lebanon. Howsha 14-5. His newly formed branches, Yanakithu, his shoots, sprouts and suckers, will spread out, Holok, will travel about. Then, his majesty, authority, strength, and countenance, Houthu, his splendor and glory, his vigor and presence, will be like, Hayakar, the olive tree, Harzith, and his fragrance, Yolahu, his uniquely identifiable aroma, will be like the Lebanese cedar, Kahar Lebanon, will be similar to the wooded 528 mountain range filled with conifers and cedars on Israel's northern border, from Laban, to purify by whitening. Howsha 14-6. They will return and be restored, Shub, they will change, come back and be renewed, dwelling and abiding, Yashab, living and remaining, within his shadow, Bart Selhu, with his protection. They will live, Yasha'yah, they will prosper and succeed, be nurtured, raised, and preserved, as grain which increases and grows, dagan, as barley which has been harvested, from dagan, to grow exponentially, increasing in multiple ways. And they will flourish and thrive, blossoming, parish, they will sprout and grow, similar to the vine, jivan, akin to the tendril of a grape. Their remembrance and renown, hue, their fame, reputation, and memory, will be like the wine, yain of purification, labanan of whitening. Howsha 14-7. Ephraim, ashes, Ephraim, why should I continually endure, ma la any ode, these religious objects and deified images, la ha Azab, these relics of veneration and worship. I am the one who responded, any Anna, I replied by providing the answers with my testimony, and who has looked after you, caring about you, wa rote you, I have held you in high regard. I am like an evergreen cypress, any karbaush, spreading out so profusely, ronan, large, notable, verdant, and luxuriant. From me, min any, your ability to be productive, periota, your results, is achieved, matzah, are obtained. Howsha 14-8. 529 Whoever, is wise, ethical, and judgmental, charkam, is learned, has the ability to comprehend, is discerning and is capable of understanding, intelligent and has accumulated knowledge, let him make the appropriate connections to understand and then teach, bin, let him closely examine and deduce the relationships to perceive, carefully considering these associations to comprehend, these things, li. Whoever has the skill to be perceptive and discerning and can turn knowledge into understanding, bin, whoever can deduce the insights needed to comprehend and teach by being observant, thoughtful, and discriminating, let him know and acknowledge this, Yada, let him familiarize himself with this, becoming aware, and make this known. Indeed, the ways, Derek of Yahowah, our Eloah, God has directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his existence and our shalom, restoration, are straightforward and upright, correct and on the level, Yasha'yah, valid and true, pleasing and fitting. And those who are right, upright, and judgmental, Zadik, those who are justified and vindicated, innocent and acquitted, will walk, holok, will journey through life, in them, Bahem. But, however, the revolting and rebellious, Pasha, the openly defiant, are tripped up and stumble, Kashal, falter and are staggered, in them, Bahem. Howsha, he liberates, Hosea 14:9. Charkam, bin, then Yada, think, make the proper connections, understand, then acknowledge, enabling us to share the Derek, way of Yasha'yah, in a 530 straightforward and correct manner. As a result, many will come to be Zadik, right about God and thus vindicated. A mission similar to the one Yahowah was promising to support and protect in Mizmowr, Psalm 91 is described in Yasha'yah, Isaiah 40. There we find Yahowah honoring his promise to provide a teacher, a herald, who will boldly convey his invitation to his people to change so that they can begin to think rationally and come home. As I sit here before you this uncommonly still August morning, the sea calm and serving as a mirror to reflect the sky, I recognize that there is something I need to share. Yesterday, I sent this chapter off to our publisher and lead editor, saying that the preceding page break would be a good place to conclude this chapter on Howsha and move on to the incorporation of Shabat into Yada Yahowah and complete the volume. I told her that I would reassess the citations from Yasha'yah that I had originally included in the first draft of this chapter nearly 20 years ago and make that determination. I have become accustomed to a phenomenon that is mostly inspiring but sometimes embarrassing when translating Yahowah's testimony and then commenting upon it. Every time I consider and share his witness, I learn something new, something I did not see previously. While this keeps the job interesting and speaks to how we will continue to learn and grow throughout eternity, it can be humbling, because I am left to question how, after having worked at this for over 20 years, I missed a relevant insight. The reason that I'm sharing this with you is because a number of years ago, while I was completing coming 531 home, I recognized that Dowd inspired one of the most cited lines found in Yasha'yah. The prophecy in which it is found has been misappropriated by Christians and woven prominently throughout their New Testament. It is errantly cited to suggest that the mythical character known as John the Baptist was a voice calling out in the wilderness to prepare for the arrival of Jesus Christ. But that is not what Yasha'yah wrote. He was not predicting the arrival of a Baptist but, instead, a basar, herald. This individual would be a witness for Yahowah, not Jesus, and he would be deployed in advance of year 6000 year, rather than 2000 years ago. To my credit, I correctly ascertained that Dowd and then Yasha'yah were predicting the role Yahowah has equipped me to fulfill on behalf of his people. That wasn't particularly difficult, seeing that there aren't any other candidates. Moreover, the prophecy deploys one of Yahweh's favorite terms pursuant to the witness he has chosen and equipped to call his people home, basar. It speaks of an ordinary human who becomes a herald, proclaiming good news. The secondary meaning of basar is either flesh, humankind, or animal, all of which are related. That is relevant because every English Bible renders shel basar as all flesh in the prophecy we are poised to reconsider. And yet, that rendering in this context is impossible. And that's the easy part because then we will have to grapple with the intended meaning of chatzar, whose verbal root means dwelling place and abode but is typically rendered as grass. Also, there is tzitz, which depicts a shining and blossoming flower. It is from the actionable root, choose, meaning to blossom and shine, to sparkle and gleam, to be productive and flourish. The proper interpretation of these symbolic depictions of a singular masculine individual acting as a basar, 532 human herald in the immediate proximity of Yahweh's return must then be understood in light of why he is being removed for a while. We must determine why he is despised and then ascertain what Yahweh's Ruach intends to do with him and through him to fully comprehend the purpose of this prophecy. I dare say, this may be the ultimate exercise in Chacham, bin, Yada leading to Zadik. Choose to change your thinking and relent, and you will be comforted and consoled, Nachem, by electing to reconsider, altering your opinions regarding what is true, by exercising free will, you will find relief from your sorrows and will be encouraged, my people, Ameni, my family, promises your God, Amar Elohim Atom. Yasha'yah 40-1. Speak, Deber, desire to communicate, from the heart, exercising good judgment, al-Laib, with the proper intent and motivations, on behalf of Yahushalem, source from which teaching and guidance regarding reconciliation flow. Make an announcement, summoning her by reciting to her, Kara el-Hai, call out an invitation to her, proclaiming the message to welcome her by reading to her, that indeed, KY, her battles, Zabahai, her time of enduring the presence of deadly foes, are finished, male, they are fulfilled and satisfied and thus ended and over. The consequence of her missing the way, A1, her propensity to be wrong by perverting and twisting the truth, is pardoned through restitution, causing her to be accepted, regaining favor, Ratza, she will be reconciled because this has been resolved by making amends, compensation has been paid for her, leading her toward being in agreement as the relationship is restored at this moment, because she has obtained, Lakek, she has grasped hold, from the hand, Minyod, of Yahweh 533 Yahweh double portion. Kefil, for all of her, bar shirl, errant and mistaken ways, chatter, offensive and perverted propositions. Yasha'yah 40-2. A voice, Kaul, calls out, Kara, reads and recites, calling out and welcoming to the Mikre, inviting and summoning, in the wilderness, Baha Midbar, in the desolate and lifeless place where the word is questioned, turn around and choose to change your direction in life such that you are prepared for, Hannah, walk away from what you have been, electing to reject it, so that you are ready to face, the way, Derek, of Yahweh. Of your own free will, choose to become straightforward and correct so that you are prepared for, Yazar, choose to be direct, reliable, and steadfast, standing upright without wandering about, considering the unwavering nature of, the elevated walkway, Masala, the raised highway and ascending ramp, respecting the well-maintained gateway to proceed, through the dark and lifeless fabric of commingling and mixing together, Wabaha Arabah. Through the barren and desolate wasteland of unenlightened and unassociated nocturnal swarms of noxious pests, even through Arabia where the Torah was revealed, to approach our God, La Elohai Anakyu, to move toward and draw near the Almighty. Yasha'yah 40-3. Every depression, Shirl Gay, will be raised, Nasa, and each, Wa Shirl, elevated place of illicit worship, Ha Wajibar, will be brought down, Shuffle, will be leveled. And it will transpire, Wahaya, that the insidiously deceitful aspects of that which is not on the level, Akob, of that which is misappropriated and misconstrued to cause people to fall away and go astray, will be removed and flattened over, La Mishor, such that the uneven terrain of obstructionist conspiracies which have made the way impassable, Ha Reeks, the 534 binding tethers of enticing collusions which impede progress, these harmful schemes, even the intrigue treacherously blocking the path, will be ripped apart, by Ka, will be torn asunder. Yasha'yah 40-4. The overall significance, Wakabaud, the power, splendor and status, the honorable nature, of Yahweh, will be revealed, becoming more openly known, Dilar, will be exposed, disclosed, and recognized. And every proclamation of the human herald, Washul Basar, each revelation by the one bringing the good news, will reveal this, Ra, will show this such that it is visible, observable, and perceptible, all together in its entirety, Yodor, completely and consistently at the right moment. This is reliable because, KY, the mouth, Pei, of Yahweh, has spoken it, Deber has said it, communicating this message. Yasha'yah 40-5. A voice urges, Ka'alamah, read and recite, choosing to be called out and welcomed, Kara, of your own free will answer the invitation. So I asked, Wa ma eni, what should I read and recite, ma Kara, who should I invite to be called out, who should I welcome, what should I offer to read aloud and announce? Every proclamation of the herald, Shul HaBasar, each message and the overall good news of the messenger in its entirely, is a place to dwell, Chatzah, an abode, which is entirely loving, providing all of the benefits of the relationship, Wa Shul Kesedhu, is a place of unfailing kindness, devotion, and steadfast affection, akin to a gleaming flower blossoming and shining, cart seats, a beautifully adorned, sparkling, productive, and flourishing, while spreading across an open terrain, Ha 535 Sade, growing within the pasture and overall environs. Yasha'yah 40-6. This dwelling place, Chaser, the abode, he will be gone for a while, Yabish, he will temporarily dry up, Kal perfect, the blossoming and gleaming flower, seats, the beautifully adorned and sparkling bud, he will be treated with contempt at this moment, Noble, he will be temporarily disrespected and disdained, Kal perfect, because, truly, KY, the spirit, Ruach of Yahowah, she blows like the wind, dispersing and driving away forcefully through him, Nashab Bahu. She moves within him and out of him like the wind at this time, Kal perfect. Insightfully, hearken, truthfully, as a means to reveal causation, the abode, Chatzah, the dwelling place is of the family, Ha'am, Yasha'yah 40-7, because the word, Wa Deber, of our God, Elahai Anaknu, stands, Qum, is established and confirmed, forever, La Olam, eternally and forevermore. Yasha'yah 40-8. This profoundly important prophecy begins by encouraging us to change our thinking so that we can be comforted and consoled by Yahowah. This means that the current religious and political approach will continue to estrange the wayward individual from God. Yahowah has even asked us to get real, to speak from the heart and thus dispense with tweets and posts, rote prayers and platitudes. And at this time, our focus should be on Yerushalayim as the source of teaching and guidance on reconciliation. This is Yahowah's home on earth and it is where he will soon return. The pronouncement that her battles are over takes us to Kippurim, and Sukkah in year 6,000 years we stand with Daud. As a result, this is addressing what we are doing today, not something that occurred 2,000 years ago. The worst of Jerusalem's battles raged throughout the century 536 following the fulfillment of the first 4 Mikra, and they are ongoing. It will get worse before it gets better. Moreover, it was 2,000 years ago that restitution was made and accepted so that Yahowah's family could be pardoned today. The voice calling out in a world where God's word is questioned is conveying the same message as was stated at the onset of this prophecy by Yahowah. Change. What you have been doing is not working. Reject religion, and accept the covenant relationship so that you are prepared to approach Yahowah his way. No more lies. This is the end of faith. Stop the politicking. The path to God is straightforward, thorough his Mikra, and we must be as well. No more wandering about aimlessly. The path to Yahowah, this elevated walkway, cuts through and rises above the confounding commingling of religion and politics, through the dark fabric of man's lies. During this amazing time between Kippurim and Sukkah in year 6,000 year, from October 2nd at sunset in Yerushalayim in 2033 through the Shabat of October 7th, and perhaps 8 days beyond, the earth and land will be transformed. Every trace of religion and the religious, as well as human governance, will be leveled as our world is restored back to the conditions experienced 6,000 years ago in Gan Eden, the garden of great joy. Between now and then, we will do our level best, to reveal Yahowah's overall significance. He is worth knowing. And it is the Basar's greatest joy to proclaim his message, accurately and completely, in its entirety, bringing it all together for your consideration. Yahowah has promised no less and I'm not about to let my father or his children down. I will read and recite his message until the sheep come home. 537. Although, for those checking English translations, you will read that the glorious presence of the Lord will be seen by all flesh. All flesh would be all animals, and that is neither possible nor desirable. Even if interpreted as all humans, most will be exterminated upon God's return, so that's no better. Moreover, by the time when he can be seen, there will be no reason to proclaim his message on how to prepare to approach him. It will be too late for that. Therefore, the only rational interpretation is the one that is consistent with the primary meaning of Basar. A human herald will be proclaiming God's message. This is also consistent with how Yasha'yah has been using Basar. And in this case, every proclamation coming from the herald will serve to reveal Yahowah's overall significance, something he will accomplish in an integrated and amplified manner, conveying God's message in its entirety, sharing the details that form the larger portrait of God. Yasha'yah, who had been inspired to write these words, took Yahowah's request personally, as is appropriate. So, he asked God, Markara, what should I recite, who should I invite to be called out, who should I welcome, what should I offer to read aloud and announce? Instead, Yahowah told him what to write because it was for another to recite. It is here that we must search for the intended meanings of chatsit and tzitz. Fortunately, this should have been much easier than I have made it in the past. Both are defined by their actionable roots, as is the case with most Hebrew nouns. Chatsa is to dwell in a home or abode and chooses to blossom and shine, to flourish and be productive. This means that the Basar's pronouncements pertain to God's home, letting us know that it comes replete with all of the benefits of the relationship. Those invited inside blossom like flowers, shimmering and 538 flourishing in our Father's light, not unlike the rising sun on the sea this morning. And since that reads beautifully, the reason that the family home and budding flower will be gone for a while is that he and other covenant members are being harvested during Towrah, most likely in 2029. And since the Basar's message on behalf of Yahowah and his people has been so contrary to that preached by the religious, in his absence, they will slander him. However, their disdain will be short-lived and ill-advised. The Basar, herald will return with Eliah on Passover in 2030, 6 months after his departure. And upon his return, Yahowah's spirit will blow like a scorching wind, forcibly dispersing those who do not belong, driving them away. Considering the responsibility, I'm glad to hear that the Ruach will be moving through him, and therefore, he will not be acting alone. Also comforting, this prophecy seems to suggest that the Basar, herald will be harvested along with the rest of the covenant family, which will allow him to spend some quality time with Yah and get his Nepesh recharged, before re-engaging. It also seems to imply that the final witnesses will be breathing spiritual fire against Yahowah's antagonists, which is better than having to listen to the brainwashed cite their religious texts ad nauseum. Yasha'yah's prophetic pronouncement concludes by affirming that our analysis has been correct. The Chatzah, dwelling place is for the family of our God. Filled with his words, we will endure forevermore. The reason that I did not repeat the statements Yahowah made as they are recorded in Yasha'yah 40:7-8, and went directly to his conclusion, is that the needless and distracting repetition does not exist in the great Isaiah scroll, the oldest witness to this prophecy. The message 539 is so much clearer in the Dead Sea Scroll than in the Masoretic text that I'm celebrating its discovery. As promised, this has been an epic journey in Chacham, bin, Yada leading to Zadik. And now, so that Yahowah's message is reinforced, here it is again for your consideration. Choose to change your thinking and relent, and you will be comforted and consoled. Nachem, my people, Ameni, promises your God, Amar Elohim Atom. Speak, Deber, from the heart, exercising good judgment, Al-Lab, regarding Yerushalayim, the source of guidance on reconciliation, Yerushalayim. Make an announcement, summoning her by reciting to her, Kara El-Hai, that indeed, KY, her battles, Zabahai, are over, male. The consequence of her missing the way, A1, is pardoned through restitution, causing her to be accepted, regaining favor, Ratza, because she has obtained, Lakak, from the hand, Minyod, of Yahowah, a double portion, Kefal, for all of her, Bar Shirl, errant and mistaken ways, Chatter. A voice, Kaul, calls out, Kara, in the wilderness where the word is questioned, Bar Ha-Midbar, turn around and choose to change your direction in life such that you are prepared for, Hannah, the way, Derek, of Yahowah. Of your own free will, choose to become straightforward and correct so that you are prepared for, Yazar, the elevated walkway Masala, through the dark and lifeless fabric of commingling and mixing together, Wabaha Arabah, to approach our God, La Elahai and Akdu. Every depression, Shirl Gay, will be raised, Nasa, and each, Wa Shirl, elevated place of illicit worship, Ha 540 Wajibar, will be brought down, Shuffle. Then it will transpire, Wahaya, that the insidiously deceitful aspects of that which was not on the level, that which was misappropriated and misconstrued, Akob, will be removed and flattened over, La Mishor, such that the uneven terrain of obstructionist conspiracies which had made the way impassable, Ha-Reeks, will be ripped apart and torn asunder, Vikar. The overall significance, Wakarbowed, of Yahowah, will be revealed, becoming more openly known, Galar. And every proclamation of the human herald, Washel Basar, will reveal this, Ra, altogether in its entirety, Yodor. This is reliable because, KY, the mouth, Pei, of Yahowah, has spoken it, Deber. A voice urges, Kaulamar, read and recite, choosing to be called out and welcomed, Kara. So I asked, Wa Amar Eni, what should I recite, who should I invite to be called out, who should I welcome, what should I offer to read aloud and announce, Kara. Every proclamation of the herald, Shirl Harbasar, is a place to dwell, Chatsa, which is entirely loving, providing all of the benefits of the relationship, Wa Shirl Keset Hu, akin to a gleaming flower blossoming and shining, productive and flourishing, cart seats, while spreading across the open terrain, Hasar Day. This dwelling place, Chaser, he will be gone for a while, Yabish, the blossoming and gleaming flower, seats, he will be treated with contempt at this moment, novel, because, truly, KY, the spirit, Ruach of Yahowah, she blows like the wind, dispersing and driving forcefully away through him, Nashab Bar Hu. 541 Insightfully, Arkan, the abode and dwelling place, Chatsa, is for the family, Ha'am, because the word, Wa Debar, of our God, Elahai Anakyu, stands, Kum, forever, La Olam. Yasha'yah, 40-1-8.